hopefully my passion for my belief and love for the music is coming through and people resonate, because that's the artists that I usually want to work with, are ones that I don't care what the song is written in, what genre. If I can tell they believe in it, and like I believe that they believe in it, then that's all I need.
What's up, everybody? Keefy here, ghostcultmag.com, and I am with Andrew of Corpsepaint Records. How are you doing today, Andrew?
Fantastic, man. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Another day that ends in Y, where we do the music thing. So nice to meet you. It seems like you're a real music lover, not just a person out there. You know, a lot of labels are out there, like, how can I make a buck? What do I do to make a profit? Which, you know, we need to make profits to stay alive, but it seems like you started Corpsepaint Records out of your love for music, which I really dig.
You nailed it, man. Thanks for the kind words. First off, I really appreciate it. Anyone that's been saying nice things about the label, obviously I'm super stoked, because it's been a dream of mine for a very long time. As a young kid that was holding Fat Records and Epitaph Records and watching all these guys have these labels that were in bands kind of doing things outside the norm, always was something that inspired me, and I always wanted to, pursue that. And, so here I am doing just that. Just as you said, it's just in me. It's what I think about. It's what I love to do. It's everything I like. The songs, I like the physical products, I like the engineers. It's just the whole process, the way that it makes me feel ultimately is why I keep going to music. It makes me feel safe, and who doesn't like that feeling? It's ultimately why. And I started the label was to do that. And I've had the fortunate ability to work with my favorite bands. So growing up, my favorite bands were Bad Religion, Danzig, Typo Negative, along those lines. I loved it all. I love the punk side of things. I started out on metal, and then, like a lot of kids, I heard Black Flag for the first time because they weren't on MTV. And then I was like, what is this? And then Black Flag did me a nosedive into the Circle Jerks, and in that whole scene. And I stayed with Bad Religion as far as from that era, even though they were 16. But they were around in 79, 80. Fell into that Epitaph when the Pennywise and NoFX and Rancid and No Use for a Name, that whole West Coast scene really appealed to me. And I saw Brett Gurewitz with Epitaph Records, that he was kind of the mastermind, and he kind of had this army of bands. And I was a lifer, kind of like what I saw Rick Rubin do in the bigger realm of, with Chili Peppers and Danzig and the hip hop, how he just kind of had his umbrella of talent of what, made him go. And I kind of always like those dudes intrigued me of like what they were doing more than just the guitar sound, you know what I mean? Like there was something behind, there was someone behind all of this. And that always was interesting to me.
I love that. Thanks for unpacking some of that. And our biggest interview this year has been our Fat Mike interview, where we talked about Fat Wreck and the end of NoFX possibly, and Fat Records, and the Punk Museum, which I don't know if you've been to in Vegas, but I was, and it was amazing.
My buddy, you should go. From Less Than Jake, which we'll get to. He's got a lot to do with that. And so, so I have not been, but I'm super stoked. I cannot wait to go. I've spent some of those nights on the NoFX party bus back in the day. So I've experienced I'm healing myself from that, sort of some of that trauma still. So,
amazing. Healing myself from the trauma. There's your hashtag. Punk rock is not a fad, and I'm grateful for all the things. I was never truly a punk. I was always a metalhead first, but I grew up around a lot of punks and had a lot of punk friendships and experiences that meant the world to me. And I like that you're, obviously I Am, we're going to talk about that in a second, has been the super group that has broke the internet this year, broke the music world's brain, thanks to you and the band. But also you have other artists on the label. You put out some cool punk records I was checking out. So it's definitely not just like I put out this label to put out I Am. You've had this label for a while. You envisioned this for a while. You have other artists. So I'm really thrilled for you to talk about anybody else that you want to help promote also, in addition to obviously this big name thing.
Yeah, thank you. Well, my first release was Chris the Makes of Less Than Jake. He did a single for me called Round One, which the song title was an inside joke from Chris and I loving Guns N' Roses when Axl Rose reunited on MTV, the infamous with Buckethead performance of New Year's. Towards the end of the medley, he goes, Round One. And we never knew what that meant. It seems kind of out of place. And so Chris and I just always was a magnet to that scene and would converse about it. And so it became an inside joke. So when I finally got this label off the ground and was going, I went to Chris and was like, hey, man, I know you have a business where you do custom songs, that you do jingles for everything. Would you ever be interested in writing me a song that I can launch, be my first release of my label? And he goes, I'm so grateful. He's like, dude, I'll do anything to help you out. I love you so much. You know that. And I was like, oh, dude, let me, he's like, give the money to charity. And so Chris said, give me the lyrics though. He goes, that's the toughest part for me in this whole songwriting game. He's like, I'll come up with melodies and stuff, but the lyrics were tough. So Chris came up with the song. I came up with the lyrics. He tweaked some lyrics to fit, his melody. And then he wrote a song about Round One, which was what I told you about the title. It was kind of about watching my kids starting to geek out on music, and which prompted me to get the label going sooner than later. Is my daughter was watching music and becoming fans of Green Day and Fall Out Boy, and we started having these conversations, and I wanted to be an inspiration to her and say, hey, look what I did, because I believed in myself, and I started working for these bands, and my connections that I made 15 years ago of what's given me the opportunity today to finally, put it out there. And so Chris is my only release other than Dreams Always Die with the Sun. So I only have 2 singles, with Cryptomnesia slated on Black Friday to come out everywhere. But yes, I do have other bands that I'm talking with that are now have interest in the label, which is a very cool feeling. That have people that would be interested to even want to work with me. So that's a really cool thing. I hopefully my passion for my belief and love for the music is coming through and people resonate, because that's the artists that I usually want to work with are ones that I don't care what the song is written in, what genre. If I can tell they believe in it, and like I believe that they believe in it, then that's all I need. Then as a consumer and as a listener, I'm like, this guy's he believes in this song. I'm listening. He's captivated my attention. So, but that, as far as releases, I've only gotten the 2. With obviously by 2024, I would like to think I'm working with a band that we haven't signed anything, but in Germany and Finland, Root Brain, that we're talking, which is Victor Santura from Celtic Frost and Triptychon. He has this band, it's like black grunge, right? He's like, I like saying it because it doesn't make sense. And if you're right, it doesn't. But he's right. And so I would implore anyone, if they're looking for new tunes, it's on Spotify, check it out. They put it out themselves, their first album. And I'm talking with another band, October Noir, who has a huge influence from Typo. Obviously, we have a similar kinship there. But as far as actual releases, I just have the 2 right now, with many more slated for 2024. And I'm super excited. I've got 2 songs, but I've got 2 flexies, a cassette and a CD. And so obviously I've liked the physical product side. I'm a collector as myself. So I may have only 2 singles out, but I have various formats of those singles.
No, I know, and I think that's the reason that people will want to work with you, is that you were able to come right out of the gate and roll out these formats. And I personally bought the I Am singles, so they were shipped to me beautifully.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I know that was like literally your hands probably packaged them, or someone next to you. So it was really well done. As a collector myself, I have a side podcast where we talk about vinyl nerding out and collecting an album series and stuff. And so I really care when something is shipped to me well and well packaged and safe and things. So like, there's a lot of incentive. I actually, October Noir rules, so I hope they work with you. And I've already checked them out. Shout out to their publicist, Raquel, who's
what's
also
up, Raquel?
publicist, Raquel
Absolutely.
Figlo,
Yes,
who's
you
also
do.
the publicist for I Am. She's awesome.
Yes,
And yeah, I noticed that you also have a lot of really cool collectible stuff on the site for sale as well, on the merch store. So let's talk for one more second about that, and then we'll talk a little I Am stuff. So yeah, I love that you you have. It's like, ow, my wallet, everything I wanted, all of it. Signed Typo albums and signed Danzig releases and Sam Hain, and I saw a couple of other things that might be gone by now, I'm sure. But talk
Yes.
about that, like you talked about the collectible side of things, and
Yeah.
selling that stuff. What's your most prized possession of a thing you own that you bought that's a collectible piece?
Yeah, I think it's more the memories that is that I have because Josh Silver gave me a Fallout 7-inch.
Yeah,
So
it's heavy.
yeah, right. So that is a thing of beauty. I sold a Bad Religion 7-inch because it used to be my prized possession. That was one when I was a super fan. I saw one and it wasn't the one that said ellipsis you are. It was the first batch that had the skip, not the second batch of the 500. So that, and then my first copy of Into the Unknown was as far as collecting. Now stuff that I'm selling, that's where I had to kind of come and grow and mature and realize that what I wanted to do more than buy more stuff from my collection was to give people the opportunity to add to their collection. And the way that I could financially see that possible with my income was to part with some of my things. And I felt I was better putting that stuff back out in the universe and receiving the funds for that so I could pay for, I'd rather have 100 limited edition I Am 12 inches to the universe than for me to spend 2,000 more dollars on having another Rob Zombie limited box set or a Typo box set. Not that the collector in me doesn't love it, but I've kind of surrendered to the record label guy in me that I am now. Is like, I love that collector, but that collector's budget now belongs to this guy. So until as we get I Am going and get some gigs and my collector budget can be kind of friendly, I'm surrendering my some of my favorites to pass on, and some of my personal memorabilia from typo negative itineraries that you can't get, that's got like Peter Steele's phone number in there and shit like that that you won't find anywhere else. So that's I was kind of like, does this stuff mean stuff to have in the closet, or does it mean more to me to give me the opportunity to support this? And I thought as long as I was keeping the money in the music, that it didn't matter if I was turning a profit or not on itself, because it was being right invested back into, like I said, I just spent, $4,000 on getting the limited edition CDs and t-shirts and vinyls made for the Crypto Amnesia, that putting those things up there help facilitate some of that cost. So that's essentially why I did. I didn't want to part with it at first until I realized that it was going to get me this further along in the process if I put some of those things up there. So thank you guys for supporting my dream and buying that stuff. I really appreciate it. That's why I try to get an autograph and make it a little more and pull something unique that you can't walk into or get on eBay. You can't, get a typo negative tour itinerary. Maybe you can, but you get the point. I was trying to offer some personal items and make my items seem more personable for folks to, obviously I admit it was expensive. I get, but it's not because it's because it's worth it, right? It's all the
Mm.
stuff. It's worth it to me, and so that's how I feel.
There it is. I never question what someone will spend on a concert ticket or a signed anything, because again, you can't ever put a price on
Right.
what something is meaningful to someone else. I love that element of the label, and just you personally, that's amazing, dude. So
Thank you.
I am. Let's ask you a question. Backing up a second, like backing
Sure.
up, not even a year, less than a year ago. At what point after this group is sort of formulated did you come into the process? Like, hey, we made this group and we're gonna come record with you and put it out on your label. Where did you come into the situation?
All of it. It was supposed to happen 5 years ago. In a drunken bender, and that became talk and a story, and that story became inspiration, and then some sobriety happened. I'm 3 years sober as September 1st. Not that I'm an anti-drinker, because I'm not. It just I needed to grow the next phase of my life, alcohol was no longer giving me the ability to grow personally. So I chose to walk away from it, and being inspired by Kenny. And so that's really kind of, and so from there, I started getting serious, and I'm like, so I got a logo made. I'm going to do this label. Chris gave me the song. I got a 7-inch made. I got a website up. this is fueling for what I wanted to create. And I didn't have the band name yet, but I had the band assembled of who I wanted to be in it. And it wasn't until Kirk and Kenny's schedules could line up that I realized it wasn't going to be a reality. And so I just always kept an eye on Quiet Riot schedule and Johnny, excuse me, more of Johnny Kelly's schedule, to be honest, because I knew for the first get to go that it wasn't going to be a writing session, that it was going to be what it was, a boot camp is what I think I've heard a couple of the guys talk about it in some press, that I literally called once I got the okay, like Kenny's like, I can do it during this time. And I screenshotted that message. I said, hey, Kurt, Kenny says he's available. I told you, we've talked about this. And he goes, all right, Rocker, I'm available too. And I was like, yes. And then Johnny, I was like, Johnny, your dates are available. And he's like, you're crazy. I'll believe it when you send me a ticket. And I was like, okay, cool, you're in. And then, I sent Todd a message. I was like, T, let's go. It's on. He goes, what are you talking about? And he goes, can I sleep on it? And I go, T, I love you. Absolutely. I'll let you sleep on it. And so T called me the next day and he goes, I'm so glad I slept on it because I'm fucking in. I want to do this. And he's like, music was in my blood and I was back in Crowbar and I got married. And then he's like, and I talked to my wife and my wife is like, you go do this. And remember, so, everybody was like, rah. And so I had that energy. And then I was going some, personal transformation in my life as well. And, I was doing a lot of soul searching. And so that's where the name I Am generated, because I realized that you speak I am is what you speak into exist. I was like, well, then I am Corpsepaint Records. I am a record label owner. I am, and I was like, oh, there's the band name I Am. And then so I Googled I Am, and then there is this metal band called I Am. And I was like, well, shit, that's not going to work. Somebody's already got the name. Okay, well, let me get creative. I really like the name. And I was like, well, there's more than one way. And then the all-seeing I is more what I had incorporated. And so that had a place to do with it. And I was like, you know what? That actually makes more sense. And then I was like, I hate God rolls off the tongue. Nobody's had a problem remembering that for 20 something years. So it's not like it's a foreign concept. And so, I was like, I am. And then I put the eyeball when I texted it for the first time in just the simple letters in all caps, the eyeball emoji popped out, and I put it in the middle, and I typed the AM afterwards, and I ate the space in between it to where it was just like 6 blocks all in a row. And I go, ooh, that looks strong. This almost looks like a hieroglyphic, like with this emoji in the middle. It reminded me of like a Bad Religion logo, a modern punk rock logo, since we're no longer spray painting with the Crossbusters or the Dead Kennedys logos. We're using these devices. I was like, ooh, maybe like I can start kind of like creating like what that looks like. And then I just loved it. And so I threw it out there, and I told the dudes they're in the band, they can change the name. It was just, I needed something to call it in my head so I could file it away on my computer when I'm making plans. And it just kind of stuck. There's been talk about changing it all the time, and I think everything happens. Never had the time.
Shout out to I Am, the hardcore metal band, by the way, who are very
Shout
good,
out to
and they're
and
fantastic.
yes, and all but love to them, and great name, by the way.
Yeah,
Maybe we can do some dates. That would be fantastic.
yeah, I'm sure they would. They're probably big fans of the bands that I Am is compressed.
They're wearing the bloody
Yeah,
kisses. You can't
they're
make
wearing
this
a type.
up.
Yeah, everybody loves typo. Typo means a lot to us. I also want to tell you thank you as a music journalist. You did the one thing that 99% of bands don't do, which is actually Google the name before you settle on it. Most bands don't do that. Please, bands, if you have a cool idea for a name, somebody probably already thought of it. Just check around. Just check around first.
But I own the trademark to this one.
There it is. Nice. And I mean the song. So Dreams Always Die with the Sun's phenomenal, right? It's phenomenal. It's everything. When you first hear This Is Coming, and then you hear the song, it hit like a bomb. Every single part of it. And I interviewed Johnny not too long ago. We talked about the coming together of the band and the track, and we singled out Kenny. I was like, Kenny is on such another level. Like, I thought Silver Tomb, the first album, was incredible, and I think this is even better. And I think the next Silver Tomb will be even better. And I think the next single from I Am and the full length I Am that's coming apparently are going to be amazing. Yeah, he's on fire, man. He's really. I think people are going to really wake up to him, finally as a fully fledged front person.
I agree.
And
I always felt that he had, and this is comparison, a lot more David Grohl side because Kenny is a mega talented. And I'm excited that the world is getting finally going to get the opportunity to see because that guy, he just lives and breathes it, and he just inspires me because he's constantly inspired. He's just in tune with it, and you can see when somebody lives and breathes it, that's not faking it, and it's just real. It's just it oozes out of them. That's probably why we alcohol is actually what attracted us together. But anyways,
all of
and
us,
he,
everybody.
he's on fire to say the least. You can tell that he's in it, and I agree with that. And watching him and Kirk, that process, because you don't know what that's going to be. And I knew from knowing them personally, I did, but of course it's in the back of your mind. But Kirk's an amazing songwriter in himself, right? And a riff master on top of that. So to see them they both respected each other so much and had so much admiration. It was like they were two muscle cars or two of the best. They weren't competing. There was no competing. It was like sharing. It wasn't like his riff's going to be better than mine or anything. It's like, this is what it makes me do. And it was so honest. Like there was no, it's just, it happened. Like there wasn't any predetermined thought really. And Roger from Less Than Jake did a really good job capturing that.
I agree. Yeah, Roger's production's killer. And again, it's just so rare these days to hear a rock or a heavy metal song with a real rhythm section. So everybody know, Johnny is a beast with his 100 bands. But I do love that you got Todd in here. I got to see Todd on the comeback on his return to Crowbar for a little while, a couple of tours. And I got to tell him in person how much I appreciated him, how underrated he is, and how great he was live on those 30th anniversary Crowbar tours.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the weight of the song is also within not just the riffs and the lyrics and the voice, but also in that rhythm section.
Absolutely. In the cool part of and that's a cool thing that you said that because when the song was being developed, they were all on the floor, all four on the floor jamming it out. And Johnny looked at Todd and said, drive that bass line. And Todd went boom, 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 what you hear right there. And Johnny gave the so the rhythm section really developed, arranged that part of that song for sure.
Word, word. So Kryptonesia's coming. Record
Yes.
Store Day, Black Friday, which is a humongous day in the music industry now.
Yes.
Used to be after mid-November, only thing that came out was box sets because of the global everything the last few years, because of the changes in the music business. November releases still matter. Black Friday releases are new records a lot now, and other things. So this is very exciting, and you guys have done a really cool, I think, probably the most unique thing I have ever heard of in terms of a contest ever to
Yeah.
promote this single. So let's talk a little bit about that.
You can tell I'm a fan, right? It gets inspired. Big shout out to Danzig and a shout out to Ricky Rackman. I remember buying postcards to win a trip to Danzig in Germany contest, watching Headbangers Ball. And, I was I'm a Danzig nut. And so I was like, oh, I wanted to win that So, it's stuff like that. I kept that in the back of my mind. I'm like, as a fan, what would I want to do? And I was like, I would love to go hear the new song and hang out with the band before anybody. And I figured in the age of social media, that's what everybody's doing anyway. Nobody's buying print magazines or, so we got to bring the hype to everyone, right? So let's make a hype. Let's make something as fans that would be excited about is getting the opportunity to hang out with a lifetime opportunity. I'm from the New Orleans area originally, and we've been recording there. Big shout out to Dwayne and OCD Studios for all the part that they've been playing in this, which has been huge. And I was like, you know what? This would be really cool to have somebody feel like they belong, that punk rock ethic. It made me feel like Bad Religion made me feel when I became a roadie, because I got to know their roadies, because there wasn't any difference between them and me. We were all one. And I wanted to put that out in the universe. I wanted everyone to feel like I Am is like our creation, and that we get to steer this ship and we get to decide what it looks like. And Felt that was the best way for a new band to generate some hype where people would be stoked. And then do, as a collector, I'm offering a 100 limited edition CDs, 100 limited edition 12-inch vinyls, and 100 limited edition t-shirts that you won't see a repress of. It's going to end and die with this promotion. And then I will do a Crypto Amnesia release for the masses and for retail, but it'll have a different cover. It won't be this limited edition cover. In this limited edition pressing. This limited edition one has a Jane's Addiction inspired cover, and so I'll leave it at that for folks to be stoked about.
Nice. How can they enter this contest, this once in a lifetime
Go to
thing?
corpsepaintrecords.com. I've got a button there that has the Crypto Amnesia packages. You click there, you've got all three options. All of them cost the same. It's $50. Each item comes autographed. The t-shirt will not come autographed. You're going to get an 11x17 poster that's going to come autographed with the t-shirt. And so each package is $50. Only 100 of them exist, and I've already bought one of each. No, I'm not going to win the contest. So you actually have a 1 in 297 chance of winning. And then you're going to come hang out. And then I think I'm going to open it up to Europe, but obviously I'm not going to be able to do the giveaway, the flyaway, because I have had a lot of European fans are like, hey, don't punish us for not getting the opportunity. And as a collector, I know what that feels like. So so right now it's not open, but I think I'm going to open it to where they can purchase it. But unfortunately, if somebody from Europe buys it, or Canada, anywhere outside of the United Continental, as it says in the rules, they won't. But if we're getting to the end and it hasn't sold out, I may give the rest of the world an opportunity to snag some of these limited edition copies, which might increase domestic chances even smaller. So anywho, letting you guys know you got a really good tangible chance of coming hanging out with us and eating some gumbo and hanging out with Halloween in one of the coolest cities in North America to experience Halloween in, and obviously jam the new song, which is, Kenny has said he feels like it's some of the best stuff he's ever done. And he says, I'm not just saying that, it's how he felt. The song came out when he literally got off the plane. It came organically, like an inspiration. It came out of thin air. It wasn't a predetermined thought. Again, he sat with Kirk in the room. They worked on it. Kirk put in his piece, and there's what I call the bridge. There's a 2-minute segment. About the 2-minute mark in this song, there's a segment of music of Kenny and Kirk of doing a call and response that might be my favorite piece of music ever.
Wow, that's crazy. I can't wait to hear it. And yeah, thank you for everything you do. And shout out to the I don't know if the Corpsepaint logo mascot has a name, but it's a crawfish with corpse paint, I think. Corpsey. That's so sick, dude. I love it so much. Make some chubby size shirts and I'll buy one. Thank you so much for everything you do, Andrew of Corpsepaint Records. I really appreciate talking to you today.
Likewise, man. Thanks so much for the support, and appreciate everybody's interest in Corpsepaint Records, YouTube, and all the socials. Come find us, and I'm pretty active on there. And I love what Ghost Cult does. I love that you give love out to there. You and I are on the same wavelength. I'm a super fan. So thanks for all that you do and give us the news and info. I watch it. I learn stuff. So thanks, dude.
Much appreciated. Take care, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Dude.
See ya.